of the great myths of modern life is that transformation comes from knowing more. That if we could just read the right book, listen to the right podcast, or unlock the right insight, we would finally become who we want to be. But most of us already know far more than we live. What shapes us instead are the ideas we return to quietly, repeatedly, over years and decades. Welcome to We Have a Spiritual Problem, a podcast where we confront the deeper questions beneath our personal struggles and collective crises. I am your host, Dr. Jeff Armstrong. I am not a theologian or a philosopher, or at least in training. I am a PhD exercise physiologist with an interest in the intersection of the physical and the spiritual. Today's episode is titled 10 Mantras to Guide Transformation. If you've been listening for a while, some of these will sound familiar. That's intentional. Transformation doesn't happen through novelty. It happens through repetition. These mantras have shown up across episodes because they form a kind of internal scaffolding for how I think about aging, meaning, humility, growth, and ultimately, how to live well as time becomes more precious. Think of these not as rules, but as a rule of life, a set of orienting truths that quietly shape who we are becoming. As we age, one of the most important spiritual questions shifts. Early in life, we often ask, what should I do? Later, the deeper question becomes, who am I becoming? Mantras matter because they answer the questions beneath the surface. In this episode, I want to share 10 mantras that I reflect on regularly to fuel my growth mindset. Before I begin, let me be clear. Full disclosure, I kind of suck at these most of the time. These are aspirational. These are statements to guide me, to ground me, to move me toward the asymptote that I have identified recently with Teilhard's omega point. The first mantra is foundational. I am third. This is a quote from and the title of Gail Sayers' autobiography. I reflect on this daily in my morning meditation and journaling. This mantra becomes more important, not less, as we age. Early in life, ego often disguises itself as ambition. Later, it disguises itself as entitlement. I've earned this. I deserve this. I shouldn't have to deal with this anymore. I am third gently dismantles both. God is first. My family and friends are second. I am third. This does not diminish self. It rightly locates it. Sometimes, though, I find it reveals my selfish self. If we're not careful and focused self-centered, efforts guiding us towards others can lead us to bitterness and resentment. I am doing all these things for others. Nobody is grateful. Alternatively, we can succumb to being totally subservient and allow others to take advantage. I am third is intended to be self-transcendent. I am third invites us into humility that liberates us rather than humiliates. The highest form of spiritual maturity is not selfishness or selflessness. It is what we might call thirdness, a life oriented around something greater than either the individual or the collective. We might call this the transcendent self. This is where Gail Sayers' creed becomes revolutionary. My God is first, my family and friends are second, and I am third. I am third preserves the self, but puts it in its rightful place. The self is not eliminated. The self is not worshipped. The self is ordered. I contend that the next stage of human evolution is spiritual. The evolution from self-centeredness to meaning-centeredness. From ego identity to transcendent identity. From I am selfish third to I am selfless third to I am third. The second mantra addresses time itself. Be your best today, be better tomorrow. This is a mantra about growth mindset. It refuses despair on hard days and arrogance on good ones. It reminds us that growth does not end at midlife. Transformation is not something we age out of. There's always a tomorrow of character, even when tomorrows feel fewer. And tomorrows are fewer for all of us. This mantra reframes aging not as decline, but as refinement. It frames purpose as the omega point, the asymptote I so often refer to. The third mantra grounds big P purpose beyond productivity. To God be the glory. This mantra confronts ego. This mantra is the essence of spirituality. I remind the viewer and the listener that we define spirituality as greater than religion. Whether you believe in a God or not, we are not, as individuals, the center of the universe. There is something greater than self. This mantra reminds us that the value of life is not measured in output, but in alignment. The fourth mantra slows us down: grace and peace. Grace and peace was the greeting of the Apostle Paul in his letters to the Christian churches. It speaks to an attitude of equality and love as we approach others. It is less of a greeting like hello. It is a posture in which we interact with others. It says, I set aside our differences. I set aside the biases I carry. I set aside previous hurts and misunderstandings. It says, I welcome you. I resist the inclination to dismiss you. I am approaching you with a heart of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Together, they form a spiritual posture that resists panic, urgency, and comparison. Grace and peace becomes less a greeting and more a way of inhabiting the world gently. The fifth mantra introduces mortality honestly. Haval, vapor, breath, mist. This is not morbid. It is clarifying. Remembering Haval helps us live without cringing. It softens regret. It loosens fear. When we remember that life is fleeting, we become more present, more forgiving, and more willing to let go of what no longer serves our becoming. I carry a water bottle in my car for the moments, and they come often, when I am frustrated about drivers on the road, roundabouts, slow drivers in the passing lane, reckless drivers. Need I say more? A mist of spray in the word haval reminds me to let go. Just let it go. Did I say these mantras are aspirational? This is one practice I need a lot of work on. The sixth mantra reshapes relationships. Catch people doing things right. Regular viewers and listeners will recognize this as the title of Martha C. Lawrence's biography of the legendary leadership icon Ken Blanchard. This mantra is a reminder to do something that I particularly suck at. I am more likely to look for things others are not doing right, so I need a constant reminder of this message from Ken Blanchard. As we age, it becomes easier to critique than to encourage. This mantra actively resists cynicism. It keeps us relationally generative rather than corrosive. Living well is not just about preserving our own vitality. It's about how our presence affects others. Do people feel diminished or enlarged after being with us? Do people feel diminished or enlarged after being with me? The seventh mantra restores human dignity in small ways. Nice sneakers. In episode 5, Dr. Kelly taught us that he can change a life in just 2 words: nice sneakers. This mantra reminds us that transformation often happens through micro moments of connection, not grand gestures. Kindness, expressed in as few as 2 words like nice sneakers, can change lives. The effect is not just on the person to whom the words are said. The positive effects can be carried to the chain of people connected to the recipient. The benefits are also experienced by the person who took the moment to uplift another with something as simple as a compliment. Nice sneakers reminds me of the profound effect of kind words. The 8th mantra confronts resignation. Can't never did anything. There's a dangerous lie that creeps in with age. It's too late. Can't is a lie we tell ourselves often. Can't is a lie we often tell ourselves. One of my favorite memories of high school wrestling was Leroy. I was wrestling this kid, Leroy. I took him down with a head and arm, which is probably not the best move in wrestling, but it can be effective when it's effective. And I got Leroy to his back and was holding there almost the entire period and couldn't quite pin him, and he couldn't get out of the move. And I'm holding there trying to pin him, and my teammates are yelling, pin him, Jeff, pin him, Jeff. And I'm working at it, and Leroy's teammates are all yelling at him, get off your back, Leroy, get off your back. And Suddenly Leroy kind of turns to his teammates and says, I can't. And that has lived with me for 45 plus years. And just this mantra of can't really is reflected in that experience. This mantra pushes back against the self-limiting effects of can't. While we must accept real limits, we must not confuse limitation with futility. Growth may look different now, but it is still possible. Spiritual stagnation is not inevitable. My kids will often contend with me against the statement, can't never did anything. I challenge them. I challenge you. Prove me wrong. The ninth mantra sharpens discernment. Opportunity costs. It is a statement I teach my exercise science students as well as my podcast viewers and listeners. Time is precious. Perhaps time becomes more precious as we age. We should value our time. This mantra helps us steward it wisely. It reminds us to choose intentionally rather than habitually. It reminds us to choose significance over urgency. Living and aging well are not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It is about priorities and effective use of our time. The final mantra integrates all of them. Gratitude. Perhaps you can't hear them, but there are 2 T's, well, technically 3, in gratitude. An attitude shaped by gratitude. This is not toxic positivity. It is a disciplined orientation toward meaning. Gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, allows us to hold joy and sorrow together. It may be the single most reliable predictor of well-centered living, spiritually, emotionally, and socially. So as we close here today, here's the through line. Transformation is not about adding more. It's about returning again and again to what's true. If you're becoming more humble, more grateful, more discerning, more generous, then you are living well. And perhaps our spiritual problem is not that we lack wisdom, but that we don't rehearse it often enough. Mantras help us rehearse that to which we aspire. I shared 10 of my mantras. What resonates with you? I would love to hear. Remember, we are working towards something greater than where we currently are. I call it an asymptote. I call it the omega point. Call it what you will. It is a destination to which we will grow ever closer to, but never arrive with perfection. And that's okay. The point is growth. The point is transformation. If you found this podcast helpful, please like and follow on the platform you prefer and share it with a friend. Until next time, be good to yourself, be good to others.